Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. We will get started promptly at 1 p.m. Eastern. So we will just give everyone a few more minutes to join. All right, Darby, I think we're ready to go. Do you want to head and kick it off with the intro?
Of course. Thanks, Bridget. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining our All Things Teams and Government call. If you're new to our series, welcome. Bridget and I created this series about a year ago to give some added attention to the government tenant environment. We wanted to create a call where we could walk through the art of the possible in Teams for government users. And so far, we've had a blast coming up with content. And that being said, if you have any recommendation for the series, go ahead and check out our new landing page and submit a request through the survey link. If you are not new to this call, you should have noticed we created a brand new landing page for all of our resources, our recordings, our Q&As, etc. It's all going to be on that page. And also the join meeting should look a little different. So what we have done is we've created a split link. So now the meeting join link will always be exactly the same forever. We realize that in the past we have changed it a couple times. So thank you for being patient and just learning and growing with us. But with this new format, what it's going to look like is the meeting link you use to join the call will lead you right to the meeting during the call time. And then every other time, it's going to lead you to the landing page where all the resources are. So essentially, we've got one link that holds all of the information. Both will lead you to the call and lead you to the landing page. So ultimately, we just wanted to simplify the invite, keep everything really consistent. So we hope you enjoy the switch. Please reach out to me or Bridget if you did not see this new communication, and we will send you the email. But ultimately, if you want to add this to your calendar, if you did catch that email, you're going to want to click on the iCalendar attachment, and then this will send as a placeholder with the join link right in there. So all of that being said, some quick introductions. My name is Darby O'Brien. I am a customer success manager on the East Coast, and I am based out of Reston, Virginia.
And my name is Bridget Ballard. I'm also a customer success manager. My home office is in Bellevue, Washington, and I cover customers in the Pacific Northwest region. There we go.
Thank you. So for today's call, we wanted to talk about third-party apps options inside of Microsoft Teams. So off the bat, for government tenants, third-party apps are something that are disabled by default. This is something that Teams admins will have to enable for a quick switch, and that will allow end users to have access to that. So that being said, in the past, Bridget and I have done we've done a demo for IT that shows exactly how to enable those apps in the admin center. So if you're interested in the back-end view, go ahead and check out that video on our YouTube channel. But today we want to focus on the end user side of it. So we want to talk about how we're seeing these apps being utilized in real use cases across the US, how to access them once they've been linked and been turned on. We're going to do a couple quick demos on some of those apps. But ultimately, third-party apps and teams can really bring the Teams platform to life. And that's going to make your end user's experience so much more fruitful. So especially if you've already working with some of these third-party apps, you might as well just tie them into your hub for collaboration to just make your life so much easier. So there's no need to try and reinvent the wheel, trying to recreate something you've done in a third-party app in a Microsoft app. If you can just pull that app into Teams and just continue the work you've already started. So with that being said, as always, Bridget and I will share this PowerPoint deck full of resources with you at the end of our call. But two great spots to start checking out apps are these two links here. So you can just get a better view of what they do, learn about them on the app list and the app dashboard.
Great, thanks, Darby. And wanted to remind everyone as well to drop your questions in the Q&A. When one of us isn't presenting, we'll try and get to all of them. If we don't get to answer all of your questions within the session, we also do post every single question asked after the session. So don't worry if we are unable to get to it during the session. So with that, I'd like to shift over to a list that we've compiled of popular apps that we polled our CSMs in the field on. And this is not by any means a comprehensive list of every app that is available. These are just some of the trends that we've seen popping up. You'll see, for instance, services like Workday, which are employee resource planning systems. And then you'll also see things such as ServiceNow that's popular among IT organizations for help desk management. There's also tools to help poll your organization, or even things such as Adobe Sign and DocuSign to help you with virtual document signing since everything has been shifted remotely due to COVID. Do you have anything else to add there, Darby?
No, I think that covers it.
Oh, one more thing, did want to mention, you'll see at the bottom the Brainstorm Quick Help app. If you have any sort of partner tools in your ecosystem, some that come to mind are Brainstorm that you see listed here, Vitalist or AvePoint. Ask your representative from that partner if their tool is available inside of Teams. A lot of these quick help solutions are able to be tied into your Teams platform so that instead of jumping back and forth to the learning platform and into Teams, you can simply integrate it into the channel that you wish. So with that, we're just going to talk through some use cases that we've been seeing across the field, and then we'll actually demo a few third-party applications. The first one we'd like to touch on is DocuSign and Adobe Sign. So like I mentioned before, we've been seeing these across the field since the shift to remote working due to COVID. One of these scenarios is court case scenarios. So typically, all the parties would be in one room where they were able to sign documents in front of a judge, in front of their lawyer. Since that is no longer possible, what we've done is we've tied DocuSign and Adobe Sign into Teams channels to allow parties to sign these documents all in one spot. Another popular use case that we've been seeing is new hire documentation. So typically when a new hire comes on board, I think back to mine, I had about a week of training and with HR signing documentation. So obviously this is unable to occur now since everything has been moved to remote. So now you can place all of your new hires in an onboarding channel and you can simply send them the documents through there. You can also attach it to a chat with your HR representative and have ongoing conversations around the documents and be able to sign it all in one spot.
Another common application we are seeing is Poly, and this is actually one Bridget and I are going to give a quick demo on later in the call. But ultimately, this is a great app for real-time remote polling and surveying directly inside of Teams chat, Teams channels, or a meeting. So great for gathering feedback and insight from your team, or just doing a little pulse check to see how everyone is doing. There's a lot of different ways to use Poly, and it is a super simple interface. So if you are just dipping your toe into third-party apps, this is a great and simple one to start with.
Another great one wanted to bring up is the TextBot by Approved Contact. It's an SMS and MMS messaging system that ties messages into and out of Teams. Now, we got a lot of questions around this, specifically around interacting with the public. It might not be as easy to send a Teams message to the public, but those with any sort of smartphone or mobile device are able to receive SMS or MMS messages. So this allows you to be able to text out to the public for things such as public maintenance requests or even emergency management scenarios. Some other things that come to mind is support ticketing. One organization is looking at it to be able to, instead of put in a request for help desk, be able to simply just SMS text the help desk as well.
Another very common application we're seeing integrated with Teams is ServiceNow. So if your organization already uses ServiceNow for records, why not integrate that right into your Teams platform? The ServiceNow integration will allow you to create custom triggers for record changes or updates and will notify you in Teams. So you can also run different workflows across multiple apps and again, have those notifications be delivered in Microsoft Teams. And this has been a very common use case for HR, IT, and customer service.
Another popular one is Workday for enterprise resource planning for mostly finance, HR, and general planning. So we've seen users tying this into their Teams channels. And one use case I'd like to specifically point out is the idea of expense reporting. So being able to tie that into your Teams channel, maybe go back and forth with your manager on it. And again, overall, just being able to tie it into one place that makes it easier instead of switching back and forth. And I'll turn it over to Darby for our last use case, and then we'll go ahead and jump into the demo.
Thanks, Bridget. So this is another one that Bridget and I will demo, but Freehand by Envision is a whiteboarding app, which has been incredibly enticing to a lot of customers who are using it because, as you may know, the Microsoft Whiteboard feature hasn't fully launched for government tenants. I really like this third-party app. It has a ton of cool features, and it's an app that you can pull in as a tab in Teams or in chat to create project plans, vision boards, draw on templates, etc., all with your teammates. So this is a cool one.
All right, so I'm going to switch over into our demo tenant for our demo portion. Just give me 1 second. And Darby, will you let me know when you see it? One moment. Okay, so should be able to see it now.
Yep, I can see it.
Awesome. All right, so as you can see, we've gone ahead and jumped into the Teams portion. And right now we're in our Department of Transportation channel. So to paint the picture, let's just say that you found out that your IT organization has enabled third-party applications. Well, where do you go to see which ones you can specifically add, which ones have been enabled? So what we're going to do is go up to the top panel, and where you would add a tab is going to be the same place that you click on to add this third-party application. So click on the plus sign, and right here, you'll see all the apps that are available to you. You'll notice that some of them are first-party Microsoft apps and the others third-party applications. All the ones down here at the bottom are ones that I specifically went in and enabled. Again, the apps that you see are ones that I enabled, so the ones that you'll see will be ones that your IT organization has enabled for you. So if you want to add a tab, all you'll need to do is specifically click on the one you want to add. In this case, I'm going to add Trello. And then you'll see right here that I have the option of pulling in my pre-existing boards from Trello inside of this team. Anything else to add there, Darby, for setup before I jump into the Trello board?
I would just say to keep in mind that these are third-party applications. So many times you're going to have an account with Trello or with Freehand by Envision. Right, it's not going to automatically log you in just because you have a Teams account. So, most of these applications are free. So if you do just create an account with Trello, then you can connect it, if that is clear.
Right. So great call out, Darby. And again, these are apps that most likely your organization's already using. We're just calling these out because these are popular ones that we've seen our users, that have been popular among our users. So specifically, why we're calling out Trello is Trello is a project management software, and it's very popular among the Agile Scrum process. So let me go ahead and back out of here, and I'll show you exactly what this looks like. So at the top, I've added my Trello tab. You'll see up here, Trello onboarding group. And you'll notice it pulls my Trello board right into Teams. I can maximize it over here with these two little arrows. And now I'm able to view the widespread screen. Darby, would you like to jump in and explain a little bit about how you've seen the tool being used?
Yeah, of course. So what we see here in this kind of pre-built template is a 30, 60, 90 plan template. So for this specific one, it looks like they've got a bunch of different buckets here about what to do in each scenario. So we've got onboarding essentials, your first week, your first 30 days, etc. Another way that I have seen this used is through the Agile Scrum motion. So if you're familiar with that, it's project-based where you kind of have a bucket of cards about what needs to be done, a bucket of cards about what is currently being worked on, and then a bucket of cards about what has been completed. So you can drag and drop those cards into different buckets as you complete tasks. So you can use this to kind of lay out a plan or to actively work with your teammates to know where you're at in the plan. And if you're familiar with Microsoft Planner, you'll notice this looks pretty similar, right? But the reason we point this out is because a lot of users already have plans built out in Trello. And I don't want you all to have to spend time recreating those in-depth plans in Planner when you can just pull them right in from Trello. So that's why we want to demo this one and just show you that it's completely compatible with Teams and you can just pull your old plans right back in.
Great. Thanks, Darby. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this, and I'm going to pop into our next one. As Darby mentioned before, this one is called Freehand by Envision. We know a lot of you are anxiously awaiting our whiteboard feature. In the meantime, we've polled our customers, and a lot of them have been pointing us back to this Freehand by Envision. I know members of our engineering team have also demoed this and have marked that this is one of their favorites as well. So as you can see, it looks just like a whiteboard. I'm going to minimize out so you can see the whole screen. And you'll notice that we've already created kind of a draft in here, just so you can see what it looks like. So I can go in here at any time as a member of the team. I can draw, I can go in and type things. And this is saved in real time. So anytime somebody comes back to this whiteboard, they're going to be able to see my changes. You'll also notice Darby is writing in real time too. So you just saw her write hello, and I can see everything that she's doing as she does it. This is great for live meetings, or if you just want to go and make your changes and then have people check in with it throughout the day. As a reminder, these tabs can be made anywhere where you can add a tab within Teams. So for instance, you can add one of these to your group chat or to your one-on-one chat with someone as well. It doesn't have to just be in a team. You can also go in here and add shapes. You can add pictures. So we've seen this used for user experience design. So people will go in and put different layouts that they've created for the user experience. And then something also to point out is it's never ending really. So if I scroll out, you can see how small it gets and you have all this room to create. So you have plenty of space to work through your ideas in here. Again, this is something that you will need an account for. It's free. So what this whiteboarding feature right here is free. There's added features and bigger plans if you wish to dive into that. But what we're doing right now is completely free, and you just need to register in order to get into here. Do you have anything else to call out for this one, Darby?
Just a couple of things that I want to point out is in that bottom right-hand corner, you see that little question mark icon. Definitely check that out if you want to learn about some of the new features in Freehand or just want to learn more about the product after you download it. Again, it's not a Microsoft app, so Bridget and I certainly are experts in it. So if you did want to learn more about some of the functionality there, I would definitely recommend checking that out.
Okay, I'm going to travel back into our post section. We're right back where we started. Last thing I want to point out is that Poly application. You'll see that I've already created a few test ones. You'll see up here, where will you be working today? Helpful for quick polling. You see office, home, mobile, or, oh, I see that I was typing too fast, but it's supposed to say, what do you want for lunch? And I can simply poll people like this. So how I do that is I go to these 3 ellipses on the bottom and I go to Poly. Create new, and then I have the availability to create my poll right here. There's many different options that you can choose. I can make it reoccurring. I can add reminders. So let's just do a demo one. I can allow people to vote multiple times. I can also add audience. I can allow the audience to add their own choices. So if you want some more input from your broader organization, you can allow that. And then there's some other more in-depth settings down here. You can create it as an anonymous survey as well. So let me go to preview and you'll see exactly how it's going to look when you post it. So I'm happy with how it looks. I want to send it out to my organization. And now it's live. And Darby, if I can ask you to go ahead and go take the poll, we'll see what it looks like as soon as she answers. Great. So you notice that Joanna, who is Darby, just answered the question. And so all of the polling is done in real time. Last thing I wanted to point out about Poly is that let's say you are a manager that ends up posting a lot of these and you want a place where you can manage them all. You can add Poly on the top as a tab as well. So when I save this tab to the top, you're going to be able to see all of the polls that I've created. This is great, as I mentioned, if you're a moderator or an admin who's going to be going in here and creating polls a lot, you'll want to have this at the top so you can manage all of your surveys right here. As I mentioned before, anywhere where you can add a tab, you can add these third-party applications. So let me go show you what it looks like in chat. For instance, this is my project management team of just these 3 people. So I actually went in and created our own whiteboard in here. Only these 3 people will be able to see it, but it's a lot easier to just tie it in here rather than keep sending them back and forth or have them jumping out into another service. I can also go down here and create my Poly just within my chat right here, and you'll see it starts the same process as before. And it's really as easy as that, as adding it to your chat. Again, go up and add the tab, and you can add any of the applications that we mentioned before into your chat as well. Do you have anything else to add there, Darby? I know we still have plenty of time left, so we might be able to get to some questions as well.
Yeah, I think one thing I just wanted to point out about Poly is you noticed Bridget was able to access those polls in 2 separate locations. So there was one where she was able to just access it from that type of new message bar at the bottom of her screen. So that's really nice for just typing a quick poll inside of a message and sending it out. And then that use case for adding it as a tab, that's completely up to you. You can still add them as a tab, but we see that being more useful if you're someone that is tracking a lot of polls that you send out. Or if your team does just have a lot of polls, then everyone in that team can go in and take polls through that tab. But just wanted to point that out. I would say the more end user friendly side of that would just be accessing it through that ellipses at your type of new message bar, just to kind of send out a quick touch base. But again, you can formalize that and add it as a tab as well. You also will receive a chat message from Poly there to let you know that your poll is out and to give you some updates on, who's been voting on it, what are the results. So it doesn't get lost in your feed. You have a good track of what polls are out there.
Thanks, Darby. And I'm going to go back to the slide deck really quickly just to wrap up. If you want to look at some of the questions and maybe queue some up that we can answer in real time. Hold on, I might have to present out again. Great. Okay. So just a few appendix slides that we have for you that we will send out after. This chart shows all of the popular apps that we were talking about at the beginning. These links take you to the service where you can read about how each one specifically interacts with Teams. It's not just where you can download the app, it'll give you all the information about the integration and all the features that you can expect if you decide to tie it into Teams. And then if you're ready to go ahead and enable applications, as Darby mentioned at the beginning, we did cover setup policies in one of our first few calls. That was a very long time ago, so we have linked the recording, and we've also pointed you all to some specific documentation that you can read through as well. But if you do have specific questions, feel free to email the alias back that sent you the meeting request, or feel free to reach out to your CSM if you have one, or a member of your Microsoft account team, and they can help you with any questions that you might have. All right, Darby, are there some good questions that we can go ahead and answer?
Yes, we do have some great questions, and many of them are referring to, you know, is there a list of apps that are GCC? And so what I want to point out is, like Bridget and I said at the beginning of this call, in the government tenant, any third-party app, any of them, has to be enabled by IT. So what you will always see out of the box in a government tenant is the Microsoft applications. So Excel, PowerPoint, Planner, Shifts, all of those should be automatically in your tenant unless specifically disabled by IT. But from there, every single type of third-party app has got to be turned on. A great example to see if you have any turned on right now, the most common one that has to be enabled is the website tab. So if that's something that you do see in your tenant right now, that means IT has gone in there and enabled that. So I just want to point that out, that you can pull any of the apps that we send in that app list into your tenant. It just has to be turned on by IT prior to that. And we were working in a government-specific demo tenant today, so that should be exactly what they look like if or when you pull them into yours.
Yes, and I see a lot of questions about when things will be available. So we will follow up on that with dates that we have. I don't want to take up too much time going through each one and when they're available, but I guarantee that we can follow up with that. I do see a question about the SMS text message feature. So I was pointing that out. That is, again, and let me try and go back to it. That SMS feature is not a native feature. Again, it is a tied-in third-party. Oh, sorry about that. The text message is a third-party application. So if you're interested in it, it would be called Text by Approved Contacts. And what it is basically is, once you get this application, if you're interested in it, feel free to drop us a comment and we can link you to them. But basically, they assign phone numbers and they link those messages directly into Teams. And then when you respond to that bot, everything that goes out as an SMS message. Darby, do we have any other questions? I pulled up our PowerPoint screen, so I'm currently not in the Q&A.
Oh, gotcha. Another good one that I see is, say you have one user in your team sign up for the Freehand by Envision, the whiteboarding application, and they pull it into a team site. Does everyone in that team need to create an account to be able to access that whiteboard? And everyone in your team will need to create a really simple Freehand by Envision account. It's like a two-step login where they just set up with their email and a password, and then they will have access to all the whiteboards created. So again, because these are not Microsoft apps, it's not an automatic login the way you would see with Planner and Shifts. It does require that you're connecting an account into Teams. So you have to kind of set up the account on the outside and then pull it in. But it's a really simple sign up. Both Bridget and I did it before this demo in less than 5 minutes.
Yep, it's pretty quick. Are there any questions where we could go back into the demo tenant and maybe demo something again, or anything that needs to be repeated? Just want to make sure we are catching everything.
I don't see anything for a specific demo. But do you want to show the resources we have in the deck as well, Bridget?
Yeah, I scrolled to them at the end.
Oh,
yeah, so I covered those already, and we'll be sending those out. It is pretty important to just go back in and read these again, just because there are specific setup and permission policies that need to be enabled, or else, like Darby said, you will not be able to see any of those applications. But if you do have questions around governance, or you have concerns around security or anything, or any of those topics, again, feel free to reach out to us, your Microsoft account team, and we can get one of our technical resources to kind of talk through the back end with you.
Awesome.
But with that, I think we're almost at time. There are still many questions that we have in our Q&A that we will post responses to, as well as a timeline for some of the features that you're speaking of. We really appreciate, I'm tongue-tied today. Appreciate you all joining today, and we look forward to seeing you all next month. And we will be posting our upcoming schedule on our Sway within the next few days. Just keep in mind that as soon as this ends, we are going to change the link back to our landing page. So within the next few hours, you should be able to see the resources that we post there.
Awesome. Thanks, Bridget. And just as some closing remarks, if you did see something that you liked today, something that you think could really benefit your department or your agency, I would encourage you to reach out to IT and see what those policies are on turning on some third-party apps. And if you can work something out, reach out to your Microsoft account team. We're here to help, and we want to help build out these use cases and help solve some issues with some easily integrated tools. So if you saw something, definitely reach out to your Microsoft team as well as IT.
And yes, this will be recorded. It will be posted in our landing page. I see a question that just came in. So we'll post it to our YouTube channel, which is on our landing page. So no worries if anybody joined late. So Darby and I are going to cut the content right now, but we will stick around and answer any questions in the chat that we can now. If not, we'll post them later. Thank you all so much for joining, and have a wonderful weekend.